Welcome children. Today is worksheet number 45, periodic classification of elements. In last worksheet, we had discussed about Dobereiner triads and Newland's law of octave. Now, in this worksheet, we will discuss about Mendeleev periodic table. Even after the rejection of Newland's law of octaves, many scientists continued to search for a pattern that correlated the properties of elements with their atomic masses. The main credit for classifying elements goes to Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev. What is the name of scientist? Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev, a Russian chemist. He was the most important contributor to the early development of periodic table of elements, wherein the elements were arranged on the basis of their fundamental property, that is atomic mass, and also on the similarity of chemical properties. So he picked two properties of elements, and that is atomic mass and chemical or similarities in chemical properties of elements. On the basis of these two, he arranged the elements in increasing order of their atomic masses. What are the main points of Mendeleev periodic table? Mendeleev started his work with 63 elements. So, how many elements were known then? When Mendeleev started his work, 63 elements. He examined the relationship between the atomic masses of elements and physical and chemical properties of elements. Among chemical properties, Mendeleev concentrated on the compounds formed by elements with oxygen and hydrogen. He mainly concentrated on the compounds formed by the elements with oxygen and hydrogen element. The selected hydrogen and oxygen, as they are very reactive. Why he selected hydrogen and oxygen? As they are very reactive elements and formed compounds with most of the elements. The formulae of the hydrides and oxides formed by an element were treated as one of the basic property of an element for its classification. So, what is the base of classification? Hydrides and oxides formed by the elements were treated as one of the basic property of an element for its classification. Next point is on keeping the elements with similar properties together. He observed that most of the elements got a place in the periodic table and were arranged in order of their increasing atomic masses. It was also observed that there occurs a periodic recurrence of elements with similar physical and chemical properties. After a regular interval, the elements having similar properties are repeated in the table. On the basis, Mendeleev formulated a periodic law. Now, what is the periodic law of Mendeleev? Which states that the properties of elements are periodic function of their atomic masses. So, this is the Mendeleev periodic law. What is this? The properties of elements are the periodic function of their atomic masses. Here the Mendeleev periodic table is given to you. In this periodic table, There are 6 groups. These horizontal rows are called periods, while the vertical columns are called groups. So there are 8 groups and 6 vertical rows, that is called periods. Dmitry Ivanovich, father of periodic table. He is known as the father of periodic table. Mendeleev was born in Tobolsk in the western Siberia, Russia on 8th February 1834. The arrangement of elements he proposed is called Mendeleev's periodic table. The periodic table provides to be the unifying principles in chemistry. It was the motivation for discovery of some new elements. Now we will discuss question answer. Question number 1. Use Mendeleev periodic table to predict the formulae for the oxides of the following elements. You have to write the formulae of oxides of these elements. First of all, K is the potassium. So formula for oxide is K2O. Second one is C. Formula of oxide of carbon, CO2. Aluminum, Al2O3. Silicon dioxide, SiO2. Barium oxide, BaO. Question number 2. Which is the basis of periodic law formulated by Mendeleev? So periodic law क्या है? The properties of elements are the periodic function of their atomic masses. This one is periodic law of Mendeleev. Question number 3. What were the criteria used by the Mendeleev in creating his periodic table? So children, what was the criteria on keeping the elements? The formulae of hydrides and oxides formed by an element were treated as one of the basic property of the element of its classification. On keeping the elements with the similar properties together, he observed that the elements got placed in the periodic table were arranged in the order of their increasing atomic mass. So, it was observed that there occurs a periodic recurrence of elements with similar physical and chemical property. On this basis, Mendeleev formulated periodic law. Question number 4. Why did Mendeleev concentrate on the compounds formed by elements oxygen and hydrogen? Why he selected hydrogen and oxygen? He selected hydrogen and oxygen because they are very reactive elements and formed compounds with most of the elements. Question number 5. Complete the sentence. In Mendeleev periodic table, vertical columns are called groups. So, vertical columns are called groups and horizontal rows are called periods. Thanks for watching.